All right, we are rolling. Welcome back to another episode of the Holt Outdoors Podcast. I am your host, Brennan Holt. Got an exciting episode today. Got a great guest on who I think is going to provide a lot of knowledge and some good stories, recounting of the old days, and I think it's going to be a real good conversation. We have not been hunting much here in the last week or so. It's been really hot in Missouri and just kind of taking a break a little bit. But I'm really excited about this podcast. And this gentleman is from down in Arkansas. His name is Gary Magness, and we're going to get him on here right now.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Doing good, Gary. How are you?
I'm doing good. I appreciate you reaching out for me.
Oh yeah, no problem at all. I'm glad to do it. These podcasts are new to us, but something I really enjoy, and I haven't been able to get a guest on quite like yourself, so I think it's going to be a good conversation.
Well, I'm just backwoods coon hunter, trying to win a little money with a dog.
Yeah. I'm hoping to get there someday. I don't know if I'll ever make it, but I'm hoping to. Well, I really do appreciate you coming on here, and people may or may not know, but Gary here is he's the guy I bought Ruby from, and Gary right now Ruby's out in Kansas. She's getting hunted by a
Awesome.
kid I met online.
Yeah.
She's in her heat cycle right now, but he's hunting her for me, and hopefully going to get her jump started because I've got
Good.
this shack male dog that's 2 years old that I've been hunting harder than her. So I'm looking forward to seeing what she's going to be. But
Awesome.
yeah. So if you don't mind, Gary, just kind of tell us a little bit about yourself, where you grew up. You got family, and just a little bit about yourself.
All right. Well, I grew up in Pine Bluff, Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
Graduated there. My dad, how I got started in the coon hunting. My dad, they was a meat hunter, because the hides and all that, making extra money. And that's how I got brought into it, because I would just go with him, and every time he had a chance to go, I wanted to go.
Oh yeah.
And back then, the dogs that they had, there wasn't no big paper dogs on there or nothing. They were just coon dogs back in that day.
Yeah.
It might be they called them mixed breeds back then, but they call them mixed breeds now.
Yep.
So,
yep.
But that's how I got started, and then we would go to White River and camp for 2 or 3 weeks down there.
Yeah, it's quite a place. I've heard from lots of people. I've never made it down there, but I've heard it's quite a place.
When my dad and them would go down there and stay and camp and all that, that was before social media. I mean, there was people coming out of town down there, but now it's so hard because everybody's coming down there and hunting and all that stuff. But I mean, it's still good to get out and meet people from other places, other states and stuff.
Sure, yeah.
So talk about dogs.
Right. So how old were you about whenever you started, maybe got your own dog?
Oh, when I got my own dog, I was 16 years old.
Yeah.
Well, I had my own dog at 15.
Yeah.
But I was still going with my dad and them, but that was my dog,
Yeah.
And when I got able to drive, I had my own dog, and there wasn't near as many houses back where I grew up at. So there was a lot of good woods that I could hunt and walk.
Yeah.
We didn't have beeper. We didn't have tracking collars back then.
Yeah.
You turned the dog loose and you just walked them towards the way they left, and then kept following them. It was long walking back then.
Yeah, I got to experience a little bit of that. I started coon hunting probably around, I don't know, 2011 or so. I'm 31 now.
Right.
So about in high school I started, and we didn't have a tracking system, but we just turned him loose,
Followed the
and then
folks.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But it didn't take long. As soon as some of us saved up enough money, we was buying a tracking system.
Right. My
But
first
yeah,
track,
I couldn't imagine it.
yeah, my first tracking system was the old wildlife, the beep beep beep,
Uh-huh.
you know,
Yeah.
and
I had a buddy I think that had one like that.
oh man, that thing, we thought we was top notch when we had that,
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, and then we carried the old wheat light, the
Oh
wheat
yeah.
light hunting lights,
Mhm.
big old battery, felt like a car battery on the side of you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
It's things have changed a lot.
all
I mean,
changed, man. It's daylight and dark the way things changed.
yeah. So your first dog, was it a Walker dog or
Yes, it was a Walker dog, and I kind of just stuck with the Walker dogs because they're gonna run something. They're gonna start on something.
yeah,
But
yeah.
ever since when my dad and I was going, I got my first. We went to Pine Bluff, Arkansas, to the Hessian Stadium. That's where they had the ACHA World Hunt, and
Okay.
people was around, old timers and all that stuff. And I got my first puppy there, and
Okay.
I raised it up, and it was pretty trashy, but we finally got it where it was treeing coons and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, that there's nothing quite like getting a pup, a little pup,
Right.
raising it up, treating that first coon. It's there's just something different about it that's not like
It's
any other kind of hunting.
it's right. If you bring that pup up and you put the time and everything, it's not like going and buying a dog. Oh, it's nice to go buy a dog that's already doing it, but you don't
Mhm.
have that bond with it as if you
Absolutely.
brought it up.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. That was my excuse me, that was my first dogs was Walker dogs. That's all I've ever had.
Right.
Um, I I like them. Got no issues with them, and it's to each their own. There's
That's
good
right.
ones
There's
in
good and
every
bads
breed.
in all of them.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, what was that first dog you're talking about? Was he one of the better ones, or did you get better dogs kind of there after him as you
I
went down
got
the
better
line?
dogs after kind of him. That's, you had all these, they call them dog jockeys back then, selling
Mhm.
dogs and all that stuff. And I got one, and it would tree a coon, but it didn't have no mouth, nothing
Yeah,
like that. Real
yeah.
trashy. But they call it gamey now, but it was trashy,
Ye
But
yes,
I
yes.
ended up getting some more, and the time I turned 21, uh, Delton Hall with Yakintar Rattlers.
Uh-huh, yeah,
I used to handle for him, and
really?
that's when he had Yakintar Chief because Rattler done passed away before I started handling for him, and
Wow.
I got to meet. He drug me up and down the roads, uh, Battle of the Breeds, uh,
Yeah,
Walker Days,
you've
and
seen it
that was
all.
yes, that was the UKC, and that's when UKC. You go to a hunt, there'd be 30, 40 dogs at a UKC hunt.
Wow.
And back then it was hard to make a night champion, because you had to
Mhm.
get a first place win. And on grand night, you had to get six first place wins.
Yeah, yeah.
But I met a lot of people that I looked up to.
Mhm.
Lonnie Mears, the Finley River Dogs.
Uh-huh.
I met him, super great person. Delton Hall, he was a good person. And I got to meet a lot of people in different states, South Carolina, North Carolina.
Yeah.
And my really first breeding that I did that I really had a good dog is I got a dog from Delton, which it came from Lonnie Mears. And she looked like a male dog. She was out of Finley River Jeff, or Finley River
Uh-huh.
Dan, I mean.
Okay.
And big mouth, big old male mouth, And I went to breed to uh, Tar Heel Nitro. I can't think of the guy's name. I got it on the tip of my tongue. And that dog had three puppies. and I kept the male out of it, and I had it running and treeing at 10 months old, and that's probably one of my best trained dogs that I've done.
Yeah. Well, tell me about that dog. What, as he got older, what was he like? What'd you like about him? How did
They
he
had
operate?
they had a nose. They didn't he didn't blow through the country. He took tracks as he came, and he
Hmm.
could run a track, and he could tree. And I mean, to me nowadays, there's a lot more ambush dogs
Yeah.
than it
Yeah.
is track dogs. I mean, there's
Yeah.
good ones out there, but I'm just saying from my experience from when I started, I'm still, I'm 58, but
Yeah.
with the dogs that I can remember, like uh, Banjo and
Hmm.
Walking, Wick, and
Yep.
some of Timothy Ball stuff, But the dog that I raised, like I said, he had a track. I mean, he could had a nose that he could run a track, and when he treed, he was accurate. They just
Yeah.
there wasn't no slick trend, and he was all natural. What I guess I'm saying, from the
Yeah.
Finley
Yeah.
River and the Tar Heel Nitro dog, it's kind of line bred.
Yeah. Yeah. They could. Basically, what you're saying to me is he was gonna take the first track he come to, and most of the time he was gonna work it up and tree it. He could
Tree
run
it
a hot track. He could run
or
a old
cold
cold
track.
track.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I think you're right. I mean, uh, and just to tell you, Gary, I'm just trying to get into the competition hunting, right?
right.
I mean, I've been coon hunting ever since I was in high school, but I'm just now trying to get into the competition hunting, and
Yes, sir.
that's when I bought a pup about a year and a half ago, and he was totally different than the dogs that I raised starting
Oh
13
yeah,
years ago. Um,
right.
and I don't know if you've ever heard of a guy named Russell Beck, but he lives right down here from me. He's known kind of as a one of the guys who bred and kept up this line of red and white Walker dogs.
Oh, I know who.
Um,
Yeah, I know.
yeah,
I had a guy just send me a picture. I'll send it to you after we get off here, and that
yeah,
way you have it. But it's a red and white Walker
mhm,
dog.
yep. Russell Beck, he lives just 10 miles down the road from me here in Cross Timbers, and he's kept that line of dogs going for a long time.
Good line.
Um, yeah, they're good coon dogs.
Yes.
And he's as good as they come. And he's still hunting today.
Right.
But they're different, and I
Yeah.
started those dogs kind of how I all that we knew how to start them was back then was just take them hunting with an older dog that was straight, that wasn't going to run any junk, and one night they'd never leave your feet, next night they might leave your
That's
feet,
right. Yes.
and then just the baby steps.
Right.
So when I got this new pup, it was like, man, this ain't right. He started treeing 3 month, 3, 4 months old with the older dog,
Right.
and it just everything was different.
Yeah.
And
It's like old school to new school.
yeah, yeah, and that was Boone that I'm talking about. And then, he did pretty good there for a little bit, but then he went through a big lull. He went into a 9, 10 month old. It was dry here. He's starting to make slick trees, but that tree was in him so strong to get treed. But anyways, I'm rambling, but I ended up selling him, not because of that stuff, but because there was just certain things about him that I knew I couldn't look past. So, um, and he's doing really well now, but it just kind of goes to show you how different things are for
Right.
sure.
There,
Um,
to me, there's a lot more tree dogs nowadays than it is track dogs. And
yeah.
I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm just saying
Hmm.
they got a lot more tree in them nowadays, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, you can tell me what you think, but a lot of people will speculate that's just because they're breeding them to win hunts and
Yes.
and be quick and fast and get treed.
Yes, that's true. And there's a lot of them dogs that's winning and everything. And I hope I don't make nobody mad, but to
Yeah.
me, a lot of them competition dogs are, like you said, bred to win, but
Mhm.
they're not like one of them old fashioned, a coon dog. Now there's
Yeah.
a lot of them out there. The shack dogs. I'm hooked on the
Mm.
shack dogs. I really
Yeah.
am. I mean, you can't you can't deny what he's throwing. They're winning everywhere, and they're making coon dogs. Not just winning, but they're the ones that's not competition hunt. They're treeing coons, and
Absolutely. Yeah.
there's some good ones. Uh, I met Cheyenne Cummins, and he's super nice guy.
Oh yeah.
Uh, Scott uh, Scott Ingles with
Uh-huh.
rodeo dogs.
Yep. Yep.
Met him. He's super nice dog. He's got a lot of dogs that's winning and
Oh yeah.
everything.
Yeah. Just this weekend, I believe Michael Ward won
Yep.
his 8th truck with
Yes.
that 10 cup dog, and
Yes.
he's out of shack, and
Right.
I can't remember the mother, but yeah, he's out of shack, and yeah, I you can't say enough about the Cummings family.
Right.
Great people. They've treated me really well, and Shaq is throwing some really good dogs. That's the dog that I'm hunting now that I
Right.
got as a 2-year-old. That hadn't hardly been messed with, and I've got a ways to go with him, but he's treated me some coons, and he just hadn't been given an opportunity, and I'm
Right.
trying to hunt him through a little bit of a tree monster phase right now, and
Yeah.
give him some correction and just keep hunting him through it. But um, he's bred really good, and just got to keep hunting him, I guess.
Right. Jack, the Jack dog.
Hmm.
Uh, he's out of shack,
The
and
the dog you've got now, right? Heavy
yes,
Metal
he's out.
Jack.
Yes, heavy metal Jack
Yeah.
attack. He
Okay.
belonged
Yeah.
to Tim Green and Randall Graham, and
Uh-huh.
they asked me to handle him, and I did some handling for him down here, and got in a bunch. Got in the Final Fours at the Winter Classic. Uh,
Hmm.
he's a type of dog that he's not done over. I mean, he takes tracks as he comes to them. If the
Yeah.
coons is moving, he treat 2 or 3 coons around while the other dogs bust through the woods.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
super loud mouth. And what I like about them, they're aesthetic. I mean, just on a tree, pretty.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to push him, like I said, because
Yep.
he's just been put up in a. He won all that money and stuff, or won them hunts, and then was put up behind a barn. Never was bred. So I think he's only
Sure.
got like 1 litter of pups, and
Really.
I think they're bear dogs.
Oh wow. Yeah.
So, but
You're
I got
seeing
that one.
that quite a bit now.
Yeah, I got that 1 litter on the ground that I'm looking for. The pups are out of my TrackMan female. She's
Mm.
directly out of TrackMan,
Okay.
and um, I have her mother also. So I got a line of dogs
Mhm.
that I went and got, and to try to raise my own pups, because you can't buy a coon dog no more for 5, 6, $700.
No, you sure can't.
That's long gone.
That's right. Yeah, I know from firsthand experience.
Right, right.
Yeah. Um,
But
that dog I started that I was telling you about, Boone, he, I bought him as a pup and I got a pretty good price on him. But then when I sold him, he went to a different state in Indiana and he started doing a lot better. Uh, and then he sold for a lot more than what I sold him for. So um,
yeah,
they're not cheap. They're not cheap anymore, no
no.
doubt.
I think I sent you a video of that 7-month-old pup
Yeah, yeah,
that
really
I'm
good
hunting.
mouth.
Yes, man, he is screaming loud. And
Yeah.
he's out of my that wipeout female I was telling you
Uh
about.
huh. Yeah,
He is really doing good. He is 7 months old and doing
yeah.
really good.
So, I believe Shaq does put that in his pups, that mouth. He's
Yes.
have you ever personally hunted with Shaq? Because I haven't.
No, I haven't.
No. Okay. Yeah, I hadn't either, and in fact, I don't know anyone that has, but I was just gonna ask you if you had, what was he like? But, um
I've talked to some people that said they have hunted with him and everything. Said he was a coon dog. I mean, he would get in there and take tracks, and um, one guy told me he was a layup dog. You know,
yeah,
there ain't to me. There's not a whole lot of layup dogs anymore.
I hear a lot of people say that, and I don't know, but man, if I just feel like if a guy had a good layup dog,
The,
that would be something hard to compete with.
the dog that I got, I was telling you, came from Lonnie Mears.
Mhm.
She would she would treat coons that other dogs wouldn't even. They'd just be standing around. They didn't know. And sure enough, up there would be laying
Yeah.
a coon. You know.
I want one of those.
Oh man, that's probably one of the best grown coon dogs that I have ever got, and it was gave to me by Delton, and it, like I said, came from Lonnie Mears.
Yeah,
Lonnie, I got to meet him. Man, he was a super nice guy,
yeah.
super good people, lot of knowledge.
Well, I wanna ask you, about competition hunting. You
Okay,
know, I I've walked on a few casts, just to spectate, and I have hunted in one cast, I think, for myself, actually handled in a cast, and I've had nothing but good experiences so far. But you hear people talk about how bad things can be, and I'm sure there are some bad eggs here and there, but just how did you get started into competition part of it?
I started in UKC, like I was telling
Uh-huh.
you when I was following. Delton Hall was running me up and down the roads and stuff.
Yeah.
And then I went to PKC, and I didn't know the rules. It didn't take me long to start learning them because they, they tear you up sometimes.
They're
Well,
gonna
they
teach
knew
them
the
to you.
rules. Yeah, they knew the rules, and they could, make it. They knew. I guess you could say they was a handler, and I'm
Yeah.
still learning. I mean,
Uh-huh.
I don't go to none of these. I don't have the money to go to the truck hunts or nothing like that. But
Yeah.
some pro classics and the $105 hunts. I don't like going to a $35 hunt no more because to me, that's where you have a lot of your more yay yays going on in a
Yeah.
$35 hunt than you do when you start getting up to a $200 or $300 hunt.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've heard people, talk on this topic, and that's consistent with everyone I hear talk about it, is the higher up the entry fee is, the more civilized
Like
and
civilized, yes,
everything's gonna go.
right. And I've hunted with Chad Doolin a lot, and man, he ain't done nothing but help me. I mean, when you tree a coon with Chad Doolin, he's gonna find your coon for you, and that's a lot of
Yeah.
people won't look for your coons, but Chad, he'll
Mm.
find your coons for you.
Yeah. I think that's the way it should be.
Yes, and
Peop
if I'm with someone, I want to get the dog done the work. I want the dog to win. I don't want the handler to win. And if I look up there and I see the coon, I'm gonna point it out. Here's coon right here, guys.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
I love to
I
see it. If I get whooped, I love to see a good dog. I mean, work and
Yeah.
do real good.
I have to agree with you on that. I obviously haven't been in hardly any casts, but I'd like to think that's how I'm gonna be. I mean, you just you can't win them all, and,
That's right. You
if you
can't.
get beat, you get beat. Say
You
good
get
job,
beat. You
and
get beat. That's right. You just
yeah,
go on. Don't make excuses.
yeah,
Just,
yeah.
just
What's,
buckle
uh
down and try harder.
what's, uh what's some of the bigger things that you've won or been, proud of as far as your competition hunting? What's some of your highlights of your biggest wins?
Uh, man, I was in just $105 hunt one night, and
Mhm.
the dog scored 600 points. I thought that was a world championship to me,
Yeah.
to
Heck
get like
yeah.
that. But
Yeah.
I've got in a Final Fours in the like in some uh, pro classics, and
Mm-hmm.
I make your head swell up a little bit, But
I could
it ain't
imagine.
nothing like these guys going and hunting these you know $25,000 hunts and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And my hat's
Yeah.
off to them because they're they got some dogs to be pushing. But if I had the money, Jack's 9 years old right now, and I wouldn't be scared to take him nowhere. I mean, he can win anywhere.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you talk about the highlight. That was I ain't been to a bunch of big PKC hunts,
Mm-hmm.
but I've been in some pro classics and um, the state hunt. I have been in 2 truck hunts. I got
Yeah.
in one night, and the next night I got beat out, and then the first night on another dog that I hunted in the truck hunt, um, I got beat up by a better dog. I mean, the
Yeah.
dog did real good.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you say that because my channel and what I'm trying to do is catered towards the guys like you, for example, and me. Um, People, not everyone can go and pay $2,500 to enter a hunt.
Right.
And I don't know. For me, I I've felt like for a while that you listen to stuff and you hear stuff and you hear people talk about their dogs, and you get the feeling that you aren't ever going to be able to compete because those dogs are perfect and they don't
Yep.
ever mess around. And every time they tree, they got a coon. And they do, they're accurate dogs, but it's very easy to get that feeling of kind of discouragement
Oh
or
yes.
I'm I'm never gonna be able to hunt enough to compete in anything. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, to me, them dogs that's winning and everything, they're going. Say, for instance, if I go one or two competition hunts a week, they're going. They're steady on the road. I mean, they're
Yeah.
pushing. That's their job,
Yep.
and
Yep.
a lot of them's got a guy up here throwing the money down.
Yep.
But there's a lot
Yeah.
of them that's throwing their own money down, and they're running and doing the hunts. But if you keep hunting in them, you're going to win. All the dogs that's winning, they can get beat.
Right.
So
Right. And
it's
I
just
yeah,
it's just you keep going and going, and if you can afford to keep going and going, and
mhm.
but my like I said, my hat's off to them, and if you see the ones that's winning, they're being talked about. So
Oh
if they
yeah.
wasn't winning, they wouldn't be getting talked about bad.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
and there's
that's
no
how I feel.
sure. Yeah, I mean, there's no. I don't think we're shaming them or talking bad about them
No,
or
no,
anything.
no,
That
not at all.
they obviously put in a lot of work and they hunt
A lot of
hard.
work.
Um, and that ain't easy. I mean, there's no way
No,
I could hunt as much
no,
as
I
they
couldn't. I
they
couldn't
do.
either.
Not right
But
now.
right, and like you said, they're putting in 110%. I mean, that's like you said, they're putting a lot of miles on a vehicle.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Um, well, what do you think as far as the way the dogs are today and how the competitions are set up today? What what style of dog or what do you need or what do I need? Let's say if you're giving me advice, what do I need to look for in a dog that I can not only have a good coon dog, but I can go out and compete and win a little bit here and there? What are you looking for?
I'm look. I like a dog that's not just a plumb cold nosed dog, but one that's
Mhm.
medium.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of them now that's real hot nosed. Like I said, that's just running by. I mean, they're hauling butt through. They're covering some acres, and they're
Yeah.
going to run across a coon, and they're going to tree that coon. And usually, the one that does that, they have the coon because they ambush it. What I call it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you get a dog that gets by itself, a dead loner, even though if you're not, that's like Jack's a second to third strike dog. I've got some
Yeah.
first with him, but
Mm-hmm.
he gets by himself, and I get that 125 plus points
Yeah.
on a tree. Then I got to turn back in if their dogs are still struck in, and you only get to strike for 25 points.
Mm-hmm.
But you want a dog, you really want a dog to get by itself,
Yeah.
and you got to watch some of them dogs. You got some dogs that got them big ears, and they'll run over you and get some of it, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what about a guy that, let's take me for example. You get a pup and you spend a whole, basically a year of time just to get it maybe running and treeing, if it is by the time it's a year old, treeing consistently. And then you put them in a with company, whether it's a mock cast with your buddies, or you take him to a small event and put him in there to see how he's going to act with other dogs. And then they, like Boone for example, he just ran around all night, basically chasing other dogs and barking.
Right.
So
I've had that happen.
what do you do then? I mean, because that's another thing I've struggled with is you hear so many people talking about how the dogs they got are naturally independent. And it's like, well, I just put all my time in a year's worth of time. Do you just start over, or do you,
No,
try to work on them to
a
be
year
independent?
old. I mean, they're still learning at a year old. I mean,
Uh huh.
you get some every now and then. You get lucky and have above above average pup,
Mm-hmm.
and you're right. I mean, some of them are just naturally dead loners that's been passed down from their mama's side or the daddy's side, and
Yeah.
um, they get out there, and especially when you got a pup and they won't go with another dog, it's hard to get them, because they won't run with
Started.
another. Right.
Yeah.
So I take a lot of mine. I don't use. I just don't use coon pens no more because I've got a bad taste. And there's some very good people out there that's got coon pens, really
Mm-hmm.
good pens. But I had a bad experience, so
Yeah.
I got lucky to get 10,000 acres of nothing but private bottom land with lock keys, lock gates all
Oh
around.
yeah. Yeah.
And I put me some feeders up in a certain spot, and people say, "Oh, well, you don't make a slick tree and dog." Well, you don't take them up to the bucket. You got to take them away from the bucket. Go out 100 yards or walk around that way, because then you can catch a coon coming or going, and that's get them. That get them going a little bit. And
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
kidding coons is done be coming up, and it's done be hard. Easy for them to get a coon. And
Right.
so once you get one
No,
or
I
two coons on that,
I think that's a good point. I mean, that's a good tip for people that
yeah,
are maybe trying to start a dog is put you a feeder bucket out there,
that's right.
but don't walk to the bucket and turn them
No,
loose at the bucket.
no, because they get lazy. They say, "Oh, well, if they don't run 20 yards and get coons, they're not going to go out looking because they're going to say, oh, well, we just keep walking around him for 20 yards and
Yeah.
then we can't
Yeah.
find one. He's going to put me on one." That's the way I look at it.
Yep.
But
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
never,
Yeah.
I never take them to the bucket. I always take them around. And even if I drive by and I see a coon on a bucket, I keep on going and go down. I think I got like 7, 8 buckets
Mhm.
in this one area that I start pups with.
Yeah.
And I don't
Yeah.
do a whole lot of shooting coons. I don't shoot coons right now because of mama coons.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Um, no, that's a good point. Because the buckets are just there to put coons in the area.
yes.
Um, and yeah, no, that's a good point. I never thought of it that way. But yeah, I'm gonna have to
uh,
use that going forward with the
Put
pups.
Go get you some cheap dog food. Put your little hole in there, a little fitting where they reach their hand up in there.
Mhm.
And I always put it up high enough. We got hogs. We got a lot of hogs.
Oh, do
So
you?
you don't want to put it down low because I hear people putting them in tires and all that stuff, but them hogs, they're rooted around. It won't be nowhere where you put it at. It'd be gone.
Yeah, yeah. Um, well, I guess we kind of talked about dog style. I kind of agree with you. If I could pick one, just to hand pick it, I'd want one that can take any track and tree it, and
Right.
ain't gonna blow through the country. But you just never know what they'll be, I guess, and unless you're the one doing the breeding and the breeding really well, at that point you might have an idea before pups even hit the ground what you're gonna have. But
There's a guy in Texas. The guy that I got, uh, one of the guys that I got Jack from, he has a lot of up close Neller bred dogs, and you don't see that a whole lot, but he's got some really
mm,
good dogs. That Tim guy, Tim
yeah,
Tim Green. But
okay,
my point, you get a lot of people talking about uh, the male dogs throwing this and the male dogs doing that. I think it has maybe just as much to do with the female,
oh, I
but
agree 100%.
but when the male dog when a male dog's winning and throwing a lot of dogs that's winning, you get people coming out of woodworks bringing just dogs,
Hmm.
and if they don't throw out nothing because they don't have nothing in their bloodline to even go back to nothing, they're just and I'm not saying they're all bad. I'm just saying
Yeah.
they don't have nothing in them really, or the dog's not even hunting. And
Hmm.
when you get the puppies on the ground and you sell them and all that stuff, the stud dog gets all the blame. I mean, that's on everybody that has a stud dog.
Yeah.
Uh, you say for instance, rodeo.
Yep.
Rodeo won the world. All right, there's people out of woodworks bringing dogs to rodeo.
Yeah.
I mean, they're gonna breed that rodeo dog to that dog because that's what they're in doing, But it's, rodeo gets blamed for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shaq, any dog, say for instance, Shaq, uh, Trackman back in the day when Trackman,
Yep.
and it's that's my belief on it. I mean, I believe that the female has a lot to do with it, and if they don't sow nothing, it's the stud dog get blamed for it.
Yeah. I agree 100% on that. I think it's both of them. It's kind of like the quarterback, he
Oh
usually
yeah,
takes the blame, good or bad, for
good
anything
or
that
bad, yeah,
happens. Yeah.
that's right.
But no, I guess, I'm curious what talking kind of about the old days. What's the best dog that you have ever hunted with? It don't have to be one that you've owned, but just one that you've been in a cast with. What's the best dog you've ever seen go?
Um, I seen that banjo dog, and I've been with the second junior dog,
Hmm.
and a lot of people said some bad things, but I really liked the way they worked.
Yeah.
They moved around good. Uh, they wasn't silent mouth. They gave mouth on the track, and
Hmm.
I say some dogs probably got too much mouth on the track, but the ones that I've been with is like I said, the Sackett dog. Um, let's see, old banjo.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I never been with Neller, but I've been with some pups out of Neller, and they're good. And there's a dog. This ain't in the back. This ain't back when, but uh, there's a dog right now that and I got a stud dog, but I'm not trying to push him off on this other dog. But Scott Reynolds and Chad Frisbee down there around Monticello and Dermot area, they they got a dog called Money to Blow, and
I've heard of that dog.
I've seen that dog. Um, I've seen pups out of that dog out of different females, and they was really nice dogs. I mean, I'm not trying to blow them up or nothing. I'm
Uh-huh.
tell it like it is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
But as far as the old days, like I said, I didn't get to hunt with a lot of the big name dogs, but I hunted with a lot that came out of them. And I got to hunt. I got to hunt with Sackett Jr. And man, he sired a lot of dogs and sired some really good dogs. And like I said, everybody was breeding to him. You're gonna have some pups that didn't come out and do good.
Yeah. I mean, TrackMan, like
Yeah.
he's got that rap, a little bit from people. Did you ever hunt with any wipeout? People talk about old Zeb and everything, and Moose that came out of him, and
I hunted with some dogs, but I didn't get to hunt with Moose or none
yeah,
of them. But I hunted some directly stuff out of them, and they was good. The Clover dogs,
yeah,
man, them was wild. Them black and
yeah,
white dogs, it was wild. But there was a lot of them that was doing good. A lot of people said that the Clover dogs had a lot of bird dog in it. I don't know if it did or not, but
yeah.
but
I couldn't
some of
tell
them
you.
some of them had some short ears, but you know, wonder what House's Lipper. I hunted some out of House's Lipper. You know, all them dogs did. Every one of them that claimed to be House's Lipper was that Lipper that bred them, or you got people talk about that stuff all the time.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
like I told you, when you're doing good, you don't have haters. So
yeah. That's for sure.
you got to go with the dog, and you got to hunt dogs that's out of it and
Yeah,
stuff. Timothy Ball, Hickory Nut Harry.
yeah.
I didn't get to hunt with Hickory Nut Harry, but I hunted with a lot of dogs because he sired a bunch of dogs,
Oh yeah,
and I've hunted with some really good ones, and I hunted with some ones that wasn't too good. But I mean, there's a lot of pups on the ground from him, and so you couldn't help to hear
yeah,
good dogs. Now, one thing about it, Timothy Ball, he could write an ad on one.
yeah.
If you ever go back into the bloodlines or Coonhunting, he'll write a whole page, boy. He'd be home before the 10 o'clock news and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I didn't grow up in that era. I
Right.
think the magazines were kind of
Oh
a
yeah,
thing
they're
of the
obsolete.
past by the time I started getting into it pretty good. But no, you bring up a lot of good points. I just think people got to be patient.
Got to have a
Every,
lot of patience.
everybody wants everything too quick, and I'm guilty of it
I
100%.
I am
With
too. Man,
um,
I am too.
I
I
should have
want
that
I
boondog.
want a
I should
dog.
have been putting him up whenever it was hot and dry last summer, and I
Yeah.
should have been staying here on the couch and letting him just be a dog. And you just want
It's
too much too soon.
it's been so hot here in Arkansas that, and we got a lot of timber rattlers, a lot of rattlesnakes.
Boy,
So we got to keep a bottle of that Dex with us at all times. And I've
yeah.
walked up on them. I try not to look for them, but boy, once you see one, you look
Ugh,
around, you see a stick, and you think it's moving.
my
But
goodness, I
uh,
would
we
not
got a
be
lot of
able to.
alligators. We have a lot of alligators too.
Oh man.
There's been some
Uh,
people that lost a dog from them. Knock on
yeah,
wood, I haven't, but
yeah, yeah.
I've
Well, I'll
seen a
tell you
lot of.
this. I do not like snakes.
Oh, I don't
Um,
either.
that would be I'd be like you. I'd have to just not even look and I'd pretend they don't exist and hope that nobody said, "Hey, you just about stepped on one."
Right. Uh, there's a guy over in DeWitt, Arkansas. It was during, I guess it was maybe 2 years ago, and
Yeah.
he he told me I could come down there and guide a cast. He showed me where to go and everything. And then, but we got a lot of farmland, and them little ditches they call bar ditches and everything where they irrigate out of. They keep coming from a reservoir, is what it is.
Yeah.
And
Uh-huh.
we done crossed that thing 2 or 3 times, And there were some boys from Mississippi, and I know Mississippi's got alligators, but I guess they don't have them where they was from. It was a dad and son that drove out together,
Yeah.
and we crossed the thing 2 or 3 times. We was walking by, and I told them, I said, "Hey boys," I said, "look at that lizard over there in a ditch." Lizard? Yeah, look at that lizard. I shined my light on. They withdrawed right there and then. They said,
Oh man.
no.
Oh,
And I said, there's gators in here.
oh gosh, I can't even imagine that. I really
Yeah,
can't.
it's terrible. We
Of
got
course, I'm
anything? Go ahead.
I'm in Southwest Missouri, so about an hour north of Springfield. So
Okay.
kind of it can be bluffy and a little bit of everything, but no crops here, just pastures and hills and just a little bit of everything. So uh yeah, I'm not used to the flatland hunting and the
Oh,
crops up north,
I'm a
and I ain't
flatlander.
I ain't used to timber rattlers and alligators either. So uh
Well, when winter gets here, I have to get you to come up and we'll go hunting
oh,
in the
I'd
wintertime.
love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And
definitely would.
you're not too far from Terry Bennett then.
No, Terry's in Marshfield, about I don't know, 35, 40 minutes from me. Yeah.
Yeah. He came to
Yeah.
White River and hunted with me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brought
Um
Floyd.
yep.
That was
Yep.
that was
Floyd.
pretty nice to watch.
Yeah, Floyd is he's really popular around here
Yeah.
as a stud dog, and he seems to be throwing lots of good dogs.
Yeah.
He's obviously out of two-time world
Willie.
champ Willie and two-time world champion St. Emmy that Lane Denny owns down there in Oklahoma.
Right.
Um,
I bought a couple females from him. One of
mhm.
them's out of Willie, the Cape female that I bred to Stogie,
Yes,
and
yes.
uh, she uh, she had some pups here just the other day, and then I bred her one time to Shaq, and we had some pups, and they're doing really good,
Yeah.
doing really good.
Yeah. Well, I I just want you because like I've said, my channel is kind of geared towards the folks that are like me that are trying to get going.
Right.
And if you could just give some advice to whether it's a teenager, or it's a guy who's 35 and has just bought his first dog, what give some advice on what you need to do things the right way and get into the sport.
All right. So if if you got somebody that you can hunt with, that's a lot better. When you buy a pup and you can go with them, and if they're not, if they're good people, they're going to try to help you out. But if you don't have nobody, uh, you're around farmland, ain't you? Up that
Oh
way.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Take the
Cattle country mostly.
Yeah. Well, take all right. Cattle country. You have ridges of trees. You're hunting pastures, but usually they got a tree line.
Mhm.
Um, take them dogs if you can get permission. Uh, that cow feed, them coons come up there and they eat that cow feed. Just
Yeah.
start walking your dog down through there and all that stuff. Like when I first started, I had I had the opportunity to hunt around catfish ponds. So there
Mm.
was coons, and they had roads down every one of them. So I
Huh.
could drive down that road and see one take off, and it's running towards the end of the road down there where there's trees at. Well, I could throw my dog loose on it, and I had me a lot of good hot races, because
Yeah.
they're not run down that road instead of trying to get in. They will get in the water now. Don't
Yeah.
get me wrong, but most time you're gonna be they're gonna be close to the woods over there. They're getting them fish up there on the side of the bank, reaching down there and grabbing them fish.
Yeah.
They're getting their belly full, so they're gonna run to that tree line over there. And I had some really fun hunts, getting dogs started, and then don't keep doing it. don't don't keep doing it. Take them after you got one or two coons out on them, or two or three coons out on them. Take them to the big woods, or take
Yeah.
them to the cornfields. Walk around the cornfields. That way they know what a coon is. So if they hit a coon track, they might not run, but right over there against the tree line and tree it because they're out there picking them corn and eating it.
Yeah.
So that's my advice to somebody. Uh, don't don't do a whole lot with a cage coon. That's not. I
Yeah.
don't think that's doing a whole lot of justice for them.
Mm-hmm.
And but if you catch a coon, turn it loose. Let that coon get in the middle of the field and turn it loose towards some trees. That way, that coon will be running through that grass and stuff.
Yeah.
And wait for a little bit, and then turn your pup loose. And if he don't, if it don't run it, don't get discouraged of it. They're just
Yeah.
pups. All dogs
Yeah.
don't start the same. It's kind of like me and you. If we took off on a foot race, you'd outrun me. But
Well, yeah.
you just got to keep on. If I can get close to you, I'm gonna push it down and then maybe win. But you just got to
Yeah.
keep on. You just got to keep on doing it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and the buckets, like I said, the buckets. Um, that when the kitten starts coming down, there's gonna be coon scent everywhere around there. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
the reason I say go 75, 100 yards, because if you take them up to that bucket, there's been so many coons eating up and down that little tree. They're
Mm-hmm.
gonna. You don't want them to start them like that.
Yeah.
That's my
Well,
advice for someone.
I think that's good advice. I mean, um, you know, I think you just got to be patient for sure, and don't expect too much too soon.
That's exactly,
They are
because
smart,
all dogs does not start the same.
Yeah, yeah. I wish I know that, but it's one thing to know it,
It's
and it's hard to do it. Um,
yes. You
but
get aggravated. You get upset. Hunting a pup, you don't have your highs and you don't have your lows.
oh,
You go
ain't
out
that
one
the
night,
truth?
you like, yeah, man, that's right. You go out the next night, boy, I feel like pinching his head off. But
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
have
Well,
got. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I'm curious what you can say towards my particular situation. I've got this dog I call Shy, and he's out of Shack, and then he's insane bred, uh, like goes back to insane Bella and stuff. I sent you his papers for you to look at
Yes.
that one
Yeah.
night,
Yeah.
but um, he when I got him, he was 2 years old, and he'd only been hunted a handful of times. Okay, and the times he'd been hunted, he was hunted with other dogs, right? So I go down there and I try him, and first night the first time I cut him loose that night, he turns around, he runs behind me about 30 yards and catches and kills a coon on the ground. Okay.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, well, if nothing else, I know he's at least knows what he's after.
Right.
Being a 2-year-old dog and hadn't even hardly been hunted. So, anyways, I bought him, took him home, and we got past the he's really nervous around me because I'm new to him stage. And then he started going hunting, and he would go and he'd go miles and miles and miles, and he'd never bark. And what I think he was doing, I think he was probably running deer, and he was probably running coons, because he'd go and he'd get to a spot, and you'd see on the Garmin he'd be making circles, and then he'd
Yeah.
hang out there for about 5 minutes, and then he was gone, never bark. So we went through that, and then finally he started getting treed. He would go miles. He'd run a deer, and then he'd fall off on a coon, and he'd get treed.
Hey, you win a
And
lot of hunts like that too.
yeah, yeah. And now, he's kind of learned that, hey, I'm petting him up at the tree whenever he does a good job. He's learning that that's what I'm wanting, is for him to get treed.
Right.
And so now he's just swallowing up trees. He's smelling coon scent and he's getting treed. And so I'm just, the advice from the people I know and trust, and kind of what my gut is telling me is correct him. Try not to get too heavy-handed with him just
No.
because of the type of dog he is. Um, and just correct him and try to send him on and just keep hunting him through it, and hopefully he's gonna come out of it one day.
Right. There's a lot of people grab up a limb and, well, there's some people that's rough on the dog, you know.
Uh-huh.
But
Yeah.
I take a little limb and have some leaves on it.
Yeah.
You know, that way it won't be specking him. It's more noise than anything.
Yes,
Make
yes.
him go on. And
Mhm.
if he take him and lead him off there and make him go on, and if he goes back to a tree, switch him and make him get off of it. But you know,
Yeah.
don't get heavy handed on him or anything like that. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. And, I mean, do you think that a dog will go through phases like
oh
that?
yes,
Like
definitely.
like 6
It'll
months
make
from
you
now, he
it'll make you so mad at times
yeah, yeah. And the thing that makes you mad is they'll show you one night,
that they can do it.
"Oh, I can do this, no problem." And then the next, it's like, "I've never done it before." Um,
Well,
I just I think people need to give them more time to really come into themselves, you know?
there's you asked me what advice do I have for you on that.
Uh-huh.
Um, so he ain't never been messed with. People don't want to start a dog at 2 years old, but
Yeah.
they have the bloodline in them. That you can't deny that they got the bloodline in them.
Yeah, the
You
instincts.
just got to work with them, and like you said, if you had a place that you can let him run loose in the yard and pet him up and all that kind of stuff, get him like, hey, that's my buddy, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And but I had a friend. He passed away. He got a dog that was 3 years old, never been hunted, and he said that he hunted that dog. He went through armadillos, went through possums, went through
Mhm.
skunks and all that stuff. And after I met him, he done had the dog broke from all that. But
Yeah.
he was telling me stories and all that stuff. And he said, and the thing about it, he said, I didn't know nothing about coon hunting. So we were both learning. And he
Mhm.
said he just kept on. And the dog finally started running trained coons, and he started shooting coons out on him. And
Yeah.
um, I think there's some dogs that spread that if you shoot a lot of coons out on them, you don't make them go back to that same tree. I hear that a lot.
Yeah,
Uh,
I've heard that as well.
and, you know, but you want to shoot, you want to get them a coon from time to time and reward him, what I say.
Mhm. Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
because in a competition hunt, they're not getting a coon, but when you pleasure hunt, you need to give them one. I think every now and then. Now I did have a bone collector female, and if you shot a coon out on her, she would start slick treeing. I couldn't shoot a coon out on her. I'd tie her back like if I had somebody else and they had a pup. I'd tie her
Yeah.
back and let them shoot the coon out and let the pup have it.
My buddy, Josh, he's got a pretty nice, well, he's a Grand Night champion. He's a real nice dog. Heist, he's out of the Big Money line of dogs, and that sucker, he's that way. He if you shoot a coon out to him or too many,
He
he will
start. He
go to
won't.
acting a little weird.
Yeah,
He
that's right.
operates much better when he don't have nothing shot out to
Exactly.
him.
Yeah,
Um,
there's some dogs like that. I mean, but
yep.
if you start giving them a little bit, don't just keep on. I mean, there's some dogs you shoot every coon to them and it don't phase them. But
Hmm.
I
That's
just,
just
I ain't had one. I mean, now I
right.
did back in the day with my dad and them, because that's what they. I mean, they was. You might have papers on them, but it might not have been the papers to it. You know,
Yeah.
you didn't know what
Yeah.
it was. And
Exactly. Yeah.
I got some buddies that there's a guy that used to be named his name was T.E. Neely. He was a older guy, and he looked. I mean, he was had a lot to do with the hunts back in the day, and
Hmm.
he hunted blue ticks, and he knew my grandpa, knew my dad, and all that stuff. And I'd hunt with him sometimes, and he wasn't scared crossing no bio. He was 70 something years old when I was hunting with him.
Oh
And
man.
he tried to tell me, he said, "Oh, them alligators, I can't bite underwater." And I said, "Yeah, you tell that someone else, you know." But I said, "Man, he walked the waters and all that stuff." And I
Mm,
used to mess with him. I said, "Te," I said, "You know, you got these blue dogs. What was they? Hoochman or something. I don't know if I'm saying it
yeah.
right.
Uchman bread. Yeah.
Yes. But
Hmm.
anyway, I said, Mr. T, I said, you know, you got the only dog that's mentioned in the Bible. He said, is that true? I said, yeah. Them blue ticks is the only dog that's mentioned in there. He said, where's that at? I said, where they're talking about slow moving objects. And he just, he just laughed. I got some buddies, I
Oh.
tease them all the time about that. But
Oh
I've seen
man.
some, there's good ones in all of them. I've seen some really nice black and tans, plots,
Yeah.
blue ticks, English dogs.
Yep.
They're
Yep.
I just prefer walkers, and now they're doing that X bred or whatever
Yep.
because the walkers was winning everything, and now they call grade dogs mixed dogs or whatever back in the day, but now
Yeah.
you're getting papers on them.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, it's definitely becoming more popular. But I just everyone's got to do what makes them happy.
That's right.
Hunt the kind of dog that you like, and try not to
Well,
worry about what's going on out somewhere else.
right. And what I like, you might not like, or somebody else might not like, and
Yeah.
somebody else
Exactly.
got a good dog that's trained coons. I might not like the way it hunts, but you know, that's
Yeah.
that don't
So
mean we can't hunt together.
right. Right. Um. So what's your plans going forward with the 7-month-old dog that you sent me the video of?
Um, I hadn't got to hunt him in the last couple nights, and he's treeing easy coons on himself. But
Mm-hmm.
uh, with another dog, you turn another dog, he'll get out. You'll see him; he's out by himself doing things, and he's got a lot of stuff that I like about him. And
Yeah.
he's got a little puppy in him, but he's when he comes onto that tree, you know it. I mean,
Yeah.
he's hammered down, boy. And
Yep.
I
Yeah. He's
was
got a
hunting
good
with
mouth.
my my ex boss. He's the one that got me in that 10,000 acres over there, and he's got a hillbilly knot dog, and
Mm-hmm.
it trees coons, which he does a lot of road hunting with it.
Mm-hmm.
But when I hunted with him, I said I can't hunt my dog down the road. I said I don't want to teach it to run down the
Yes.
road.
Yep.
So
Yep.
we would turn her loose, and they would go and everything, and um, a lot of times he came onto the tree by himself, and I mean, first, on there, and
Yeah.
he would drown that hillbilly knot dog out. I'm
Yeah.
like, man, that. And when you get up there, you can't talk to someone because you can't hear. I mean, he's just going ballistic.
Yeah. Yeah. I really like the dog I'm hunting now. I like his mouth a lot. I like a lot of his style. Uh, his temperament really suits me well.
Right,
He's kind of I don't know. He's definitely energetic, but he's kind of your buddy too. You
yeah,
can tell that he kind of wants to please you,
right,
and
yeah.
I don't know. I like him. There's a lot I like about him. I just gotta get him to having those coons when he gets treed
Man, if you could,
more consistent than not.
right, if you could, if you could get down here, we could go around a catfish pond, and man, they got woods on the backside of them and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. And it's if he trees, he's gonna have a coon because there's so many over there. But then
Yeah.
you take him off over there, and like you said, you're doing the right thing. You're correcting him,
Mm-hmm.
and but for somebody that, I mean, my hat's off to you because a lot of people won't take a 2-year old dog and start with them.
Yeah. Yeah. And he ain't showed me no reason not to keep hunting
Right.
him. I mean, he's had some nights where he's looked good.
You're
Went out of the truck, got treed in about 4 or 5 minutes, had a coon,
You know he
recut
can
him
do it.
from there,
Yeah.
and go .6 and have another one in just about 15 minutes. And then there's nights where he's made 2 or 3 trees, and I ain't seen a coon in them. Um,
I
but
bet you.
I think it's part of him trying to figure out for himself what is gonna produce reward, from me petting him up or whatever.
Right.
Because he's ran some tracks where he's just wide open bark, he'll bark and be treed quickly. And then he's just fell treed. And I can't tell if on some of them, it seems like he's running a track, but he's not saying anything, and then he's just coming treed. And then there's been a couple times where I feel like he treed a layup, you know?
Right.
He just ran with his nose in the wind and circled, and then boom, treed. And so I just think he's trying to kind of find out what he needs to do.
That that 7 month old, you was talking about that winning them in the air and stuff. I can
Uh-huh.
put that tailgate down on my Toyota, and my wife, she's sitting over there, but she's went hunting with me and everything. And he don't bark in the dog box, but
Yeah.
all of a sudden he liable to start just going crazy. I mean, he's
Mm.
smelling coons out of that dog box, and I can
Yeah.
drop him out, but he's still young enough that, like, I got a lot of water in there. He can't
Hmm.
he can't just figure it out all the time, and then like um, he can smell a coon, and that he'd get to walking on his back feet, just, but he can't put it where it's at. I don't
Yeah.
know if that's a layup coon up there or not, because usually if he smells a coon on a tree, he's gonna get on that tree. But I've
Right.
seen him walk around on his back legs, and I really like that. I mean,
Yeah.
he makes me happy. Like I said, some nights I'm like, man, what, you did good last night.
That's
But
yeah, that's the thing that keeps us coming back, I guess. What does it do for you? What does coon hunting do for you that keeps you going every night?
man, it's peace out there in the woods. I
Mhm.
like to I like to see a dog go from nothing to something. And another thing, like when I go to White River down there ain't as many coons as it used to be down there, but my dad's passed away, and a lot of
Mhm.
times when I'm coon hunting, I do a lot of talking with him. And
Yeah.
when I'm down there on the White River, the refuge down there, a
Yep.
lot of them roads, he rode four wheelers and stuff, and I get to reminiscing about that. But uh,
Yeah.
thinking about hunting with my dad, that's what you know. That's
Yeah.
what I like about it. But like I said, the main thing is you take a dog from nothing to start doing something. Man, that's something that you did. You didn't buy that dog doing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I think it's probably, I deer hunt, turkey hunt, grew up doing all that stuff, fishing. It's definitely one of the hardest but most rewarding types of hunting you can do. It's just to think that you can turn a dog loose into the woods or out into the darkness, and it's going to go and find a coon track and run that up a tree,
right,
locate it, and find it. It's just unbelievable, honestly.
right,
It's crazy that they can do that.
yes. And I had bird dogs, and
Hmm.
the love of watching a bird dog work. Since I I worked on a ranch down in Texas, and I got to guide bird hunters, and I had my
Hmm.
own bird dogs, and man, people, they love they love to watch them dogs. I mean, they be running and all of a sudden just stop and do a 360 and tail straight up, lock down on a bird. That's what I like
Yeah,
seeing, and
yeah,
everything.
that's
And
really something.
And nowadays you start seeing shack spreads and bird dogs. There's some shacks and bird dogs going on.
Yeah.
I did my old whiskey dog. I bred a bird dog, and a lot of people bought them for tracking dogs. And
Right.
there's a lady out there in what is that? I can't remember the name of the town, but anyway, she sent me a video like at 13, 14 weeks old, where they drug a deer hoof leg out through there
Mm-hmm.
and turned that puppy loose, and that puppy you seen going down through there, and he got that leg
Wow.
and brought it back to him.
Yeah, that's
That's nose
something.
on a bird dog. I mean,
Yeah.
but
There's
yeah,
a
it's you was talking about doing a lot of petting up on a tree. I don't. If they got one, I pet them up a little bit. When they're
uh-huh.
young, I pet them up a little bit more, but I don't do a whole lot of petting up because it gets them. Oh, I'm supposed to be treeing. That's my thinking, and that's what
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the old timers had told me. But there's a lot of people now tell me not to use a coon squaller. But
Yeah.
my dad and them done it, and you know, but they say that
Yeah,
it gets
I
the dog
understand what you're
treeing weak.
saying.
Yeah, but um, if they got a coon and I shoot it out to them and they got it, I'm not praise them, man. I'm not pet them up. Good boy, good boy. But
Yeah.
as far as up on a tree, if I don't see a coon up there,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna I'm not gonna praise them whatsoever. I mean, and a coon might
Yeah.
be up there, especially nowadays. But I mean, now this time of year, a lot of leaves and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah,
that's just
I
me.
try not to. Like here recently, I've been want once I get to his tree, I've been shining the tree first, but uh recently he's been missing and getting corrected for it. And so he will leave a tree now if he's not 100%. Like the other night, I was walking to him and I almost got to him, and he left the tree he was at because I think he knew he didn't have it. And I was getting close to him. Well, he went down about 100 yards and treed again, and he had the coon. Um, but
See,
so what I,
that's him. That's him checking. I mean, he's learning. He's
yes,
checking the ground and
yes,
going on.
yeah. Well, what I've been doing is I will leash him up at the tree
Yeah,
now because he's been leaving them. So I don't want that habit of, well, you can, once you pick a tree, you need to
you need to stay right
stay
or
there.
wrong, right
And
or wrong.
so leash him up, shine the tree. If there ain't no coon there, I can't find it, then we're going. We're just
Right.
pulling him off the tree and let's go. Don't say nothing. Um, unless I know for sure that it's a slick tree, and then of course try to send him on. But yeah, once I find if there's a coon in it, I think in the past I've petted him up too much, but just give him a good petting and good boy, got him, dead coon or whatever, and
Well, it's like you
move
said.
on.
You ain't. You learning him and he's learning you.
Yep,
So,
yep,
but to me, like if a dog trees a young dog, I'm always gonna snap them up and leash them because a young dog, they're gonna get off and mill around and stuff,
hmm
come back and all that stuff. Well, you don't want them doing that. You want them to stay right there on that tree.
that's a good point.
And
Yeah,
I've been guilty of that a lot of times. It
yeah,
makes them mill the tree a little bit, mill around and get down, walk away. Well, in a hunt, you can get minused if they going out
sure,
there a little far.
sure, yeah, that's a good point. Well, I you've given me tons of knowledge. I mean,
I appreciate
tons
you
of it.
reaching out to me. I mean, I enjoyed this and everything, and man, I'd like for you to come down wintertime
Yeah.
and we do some hunting.
Oh, I sure would. I definitely would. I'll take you up on that and
Now, if you want to
appreciate
come down
you.
this time of year, we can do it. We can do a little. I can get you to do a little alligator wrestling if you want
Oh
to.
man, I don't know. That might make for good entertainment on YouTube, but I wouldn't like it.
You go back without a risk, and tell
Oh
them, "Oh
man,
man, I was in Arkansas hunting."
yeah. Well, before we close it out, if you want to give just any final thoughts or anything to close with, or you want to tell a good hunting story from the old days or something like that, I'll give you the chance now before we close it out.
man, I was little, and my dad, they hunted 2 or 3 dogs at a time, you know.
Mm-hmm.
We'd turn them loose and they'd go down there. It was so cold. It was so cold. But my dad and my grandpa was with us, and man, we built the fire up, and dogs finally got treated in there, but we stayed around the fire and we talked and all that stuff. Them
Mm-hmm.
days right there brought, that's a lot of memories right there.
Oh,
My
I'd
dad
say.
and them, my dad and my grandpa, they wasn't just coon hunting. They was making, that brought me up memories of
Yeah.
that, and stuff. And um, I can't say enough. If people's got their dads still living and hunting with them, man, tell them you love them every day
Yeah.
because you're not promised tomorrow. And I guess that's probably one of the most memorable hunts that I've had. That it was so cold, and we sat down and built a fire. And my grandpa, he always had a can of them Vine and Winnies, and we sit
Yeah.
down and eat some of them and some crackers or something. But man,
Yeah.
that was a good days. And I guess I'm I'm thankful that I was raised up getting to hunt with them and learning how to hunt. And if you can, if you got a kid out there, it ain't got to be your kid, but if you got someone, take them hunting, man. You
Yeah.
you don't know what you're sparking in them. I mean, it's a
I
dying
could.
breed out there.
Yeah. I could not agree with you more. There's much worse things kids could be doing than hunting, or fishing or anything like that.
My daughter, right now, I used to take her when she was little, and I'd have to grab her back because I've shot a coon out, and the dog and the coon's fighting. And now I got her on um, them groups, and she's doing ads for people now.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
her name's Gary Magness, and
Mm-hmm.
now she bought her own dog, went and got her boots, went and got her, um, tracker and all that stuff. And she bought that dog, and I said, "Baby, let's just sell that dog." And I said, "I'll let you take a whiskey back down there." And
Uh-huh.
he's 9 years old now, but she sent me a video the other night, grinning ear to ear, boy. She done got a coon out with him, and she's eating
Yeah.
it up. Every time I turn around, she's calling me, "Dad, what about this? What about that?" But that makes me feel good, because my
Yeah.
daughter's doing it.
Yeah.
So take a kid
Absolutely.
hunting. Take a kid
Yep.
hunting. Anybody that's watching this, you do a world of good for them.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't have said it any better. Gary, I really appreciate you coming on here. We've done a few of these, and right now our channel's, getting bigger. It's not as big as we want it to go just yet, but hopefully you'll be one of those that can help it keep on going in the right
Man,
direction. And I really
I
appreciate it.
really appreciate you reaching out to me. I really enjoyed this. Hey,
Yeah.
can I call somebody's name out?
Yeah.
There's an 11-year-old girl,
Hmm.
and man, I'm a sucker for kids, but I watched a live video of her. She's 11 years old, fighting a brain tumor. She's in
Oh man.
Virginia, and her name's Bella Ward. And all the prayers, we done some donation and all that stuff. She's got a heart of gold,
Yeah.
and just lift her up. If you get on some coon hunting with Walker, my group that I created, that coon hunting with Walker dogs,
Hmm.
there's posters and pictures of her all the time. So just keep her
Yeah.
in lift up in prayers.
Yeah. If anybody watching this would, say a prayer for her, and tell them what could someone do that's watching this to help out. Just go to your page you're
There's
talking about there, or is there
there's
more
a
someone could do?
if we've been taking donations. If you can't donate, prayers are always good. But if
Mhm.
you go on my page or that group or on my page, either one. but you'll find her and you'll see links and all that stuff if you can help
Okay.
her out. I
Yep.
donated a pup, and that raised quite a bit of money for her. We sent
Yeah.
that to her mom and dad. They're from Virginia, but they're in Memphis at St. Jude, and
Okay.
man, my wife's gonna get to go up there because that ain't but 2 hours from us, and
Right.
I got to FaceTime with her and talk, and that little girl, she touched my heart. So, and I
Yeah.
do a lot of stuff for kids, and so if y'all can
Well,
help, I'm not begging you to donate, but if you can, you can. But prayer is the biggest thing.
sure, absolutely. Yeah. And people, Gary Magness, that's Gary's name, Gary Magness on Facebook, and you ought to be able to find some stuff about that.
I
So
appreciate you letting me bring that up.
absolutely, yeah. We got to take care of our kids, take them hunting, and whenever
Yes,
people are in need, you got to,
you
send
got to
prayers
stick
up if
together.
nothing else. Yep.
The world nowadays, it ain't like it used to be,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But man, I
Well,
man, I really appreciate you reaching out, and I'm looking forward for you coming down
yeah,
and we'll
we're,
do some
we'll
hunting and stuff.
we'll do this again sometime, and
Yeah,
yeah, I'd love to come down there and hunt with you. And really appreciate you coming on here. So
I appreciate
I
you.
guess we'll sign off, and maybe we'll be able to do this again soon. So
I
thanks a
appreciate
lot,
you, buddy.
everybody. Yeah,
You,
thanks a lot,
yeah,
everybody, for watching this episode.
you're doing a
And
good thing.
yeah,
You're doing awesome things. A lot of people can learn off things,
yeah, well,
off
that's
this.
that's the hope. That's the hope by bringing people like you on here, and just giving people something relatable to watch. And so I appreciate that. But
I,
everybody, we thank you for watching this episode, and we're gonna have more good ones coming. And appreciate Gary for joining us, and we'll see you on the next one.
Sounds good, buddy. Y'all have a good day.
You too.